All right. It's 3 o'clock straight up, and we're going to start this call. Before I continue, let me tell you how the call is going to go. Our schedule for today is that the governor will be on at 3:30. Now, I've never known the governor to be on time, so we'll give her a little leeway. But we have some interesting things going on before that. So Allison and I will be talking about some of the paperwork that's come out from the state that I think is going to be important for you all to have and to use during this reopening time. And then we also have a special guest, Joe Garcia from Weck, will be sharing their plans for reopening. He's got some really innovative, creative things going on, and I want you all to see what is a good possibility. So excited for that to happen. Let me make sure I make Joe there we go. Joe, I'm making you a co-host. So when we get started with your presentation, you'll be able to present. Everybody else has been muted and will remain muted throughout this phone call. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to chat your questions. Dion, if you would keep your eye on those, that chat box, I'd appreciate it. So our call today it started out being a call on reopening our restaurants and how we're going to do that. It ended up, the governor's office called me yesterday and said she would like to speak to restaurants on a call, and so we arranged this to be a call with her. So thank you all for being here. You got the message quickly, and I see 382 of you. I'm sure there will be a few more. We're also doing this live on Facebook. So as we usually do in these calls, I just want to go through some of the things that we're asking you to do. Today is Take Action Tuesday, and two of the things that are very important right now is, first, we need you to send a message to the governor asking for a time frame for reopening our industry and to allow opening county by county. We don't know what she's going to say today, but if she does not say what we want her to say, which is to open, then it will be even more important that we click on this and send her a message. The other message is a federal message to tell Congress that we need a blueprint for recovery. The PPP loan was nice, but it didn't really work in our industry. Our employees had already been laid off. Other things had happened that just doesn't make the PPP loan ideal for our industry, and some of these other recovery ideas are ideal for our industry. So we'd really appreciate you all being on, getting on our website and sending these messages. The Altogether Fund, I wanted to let those of you in some of the smallest businesses know that there are these grants available for $5,000, and every little bit counts, and I want my members to get these grants. And so please, you know, you can go to West, you can go to Rio Grande Community Development, the New Mexico Community Capital, or DreamSpring, and we have something on our website, I believe, about DreamSpring. So if you need to know where these places are, you can always learn more here, and you can always call our office. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about business interruption insurance, and we have two webinars for you. This just happened serendipitously. The first webinar is with the National Restaurant Association, talking about business interruption insurance claims and how you would go about that. And then the second webinar is one that we're doing with a local lawyer, Mark Dow, and he is going to be talking about business interruption insurance and what you can do in New Mexico. So anybody that's interested in that, I encourage you to go to both of those, or if you choose just one, then choose ours, of course. We did give, ProStart students have been gifted with scholarships. So for those of you who don't know, we support a high school program with juniors and seniors in high schools. And we have over 3,000 students throughout New Mexico that are in this program. We had a competition Taos won the competition. They were supposed to go to nationals, but they did not, obviously because of the situation and the shutdown. So we're giving them some special recognition with scholarships from the National Restaurant Association. And then we have free job board listings. We have a whole page of coronavirus resources that most of you know about. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go to that page now and show you how to access some of the stuff. So if you come onto our home page, let me just get you there, because I want you to know how to access this on your own. If you want to give to our Serving New Mexico Fund, you can give to the fund here. You can also go to this page and you can access it for your employees. So this is a grant fund for employees in our industry. We're really proud to say, I think we've given almost $40,000 out to folks in $200 increments. It's not a lot, but it helps, and we know that.
Carol, this is Allison. I don't think your screen is sharing. We're not, if you're trying to share a screen.
Have you guys not been seeing anything this whole time?
We've been seeing you.
Oh my God. Okay. How's that?
Better.
Okay. Stop me before I get there. So this is our home page, and here's the COVID resources page. And the things that Allison and I are going to talk about today are, if you scroll down and you go to reopening, there's a checklist from NMED, the New Mexico Environment Department. We are all familiar with them. They are our inspectors. And this just came out today, the final. This is a list you can use to walk through your facility, and, you know, especially if you haven't been working at all, make sure that there is electricity available. If you were opening a restaurant, you would have to do this. You would have to go through this full list with an inspector. Now, the Environment Department is not going to require us to do this with an inspector, but they are going to require us to make sure that this is done. So things like making sure that electricity is available throughout, that the sewer is functional, that you have a fully functioning restroom, hot food, hot and cold running water throughout the establishment. The facility is free of the evidence of pests, pest droppings, or other pest activity. I mean, we all know these things, but as you're reopening with new eyes, you know, walk through your facility, take somebody on your staff with you, and start checking these things off, making sure that you have cleaned and sanitized ice machines and ice bins. And then there's going to be sanitization on top of that we're all aware of. So I just want you to know that they're going to be looking out for these things. If you don't know it right now, the Environment Department is doing virtual inspections. And what they're doing is they're having you walk through your facility with a camera, maybe just your iPhone camera, and having you check temperatures, and then you can show it to them that the temperature does check correctly. It's really very creative, and we're kind of hoping that they'll go to something like this in the future. But just wanted you to know that that's what's happening. So they have, for a while, they had stopped inspections unless somebody had called them out. And now they are doing virtual inspections to get back up to speed with some of the inspections that they hadn't been doing. And they have asked us to share this list with you so that you know it's here, it's available. It's also available on the New Mexico Environment Department website under the food program. Food program, right. And so it's available everywhere, but it is something that you can look at and start thinking about what you're going to do to reopen. Proper cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfection chemicals. Here's a list to the registered disinfectants for use against COVID-19. And you probably want to make sure that whatever disinfectant you are using on your premises is EPA registered with disinfectants. I'm going to do a little pause here and let you all know that the governor has said that she will be on the call somewhere around 3:30. So if you just got on and you're wondering why I'm talking about disinfecting and sanitizing, and it's not the governor, it's because she will be on about 3:30. And we've got a few more things to talk about before then. Of course, employee health and safety is going to be important. And I'm going to let Allison talk for just a minute because she was on the industry council with the environment department who put together the restaurant opening guidelines. And Allison, would you talk to us about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Thank you. Can you all hear me? Yeah, I'm unmuted. So yes, thank you, Carol. And I just want to shout out, or not shout out, but thank all of the restaurateurs who participated in that. And I do want to do a shout out to the environment department for listening to us, spending the time with us. We came up with some guidelines. They're not public yet. But we worked hard and listened to everybody's concerns on that and came up with something that I'm hoping is kind of a standard that that all the other little subcommittees that are out there were able to take what we did and make theirs better. But some of the things that I think we really want to just touch on is we're going to be putting together some sort of PDF that you can put in your windows that's going to talk a little bit to the customers about our social contract. And that is going to be a lot of what that customer can expect coming into your establishment, so that they can expect that you're going to be your folks are going to be wearing face masks, that they can expect that, to be patient with everybody as you guys are ramping up. Some things that are normally on your menu may not be available. So you may be tweaking your menus in order to make things a little bit better. And also hopefully alerting these customers to the fact that it's going to take probably a little longer to be served in some of these establishments, because you're going to be a little bit more careful on sanitizing and making, you may be not making as many trips or making as few trips with your orders in order to be safe and give that impression to the customers that you all are going, that everything is a little bit more enhanced as far as the safety and sanitizing that you're going to be doing. So that is going to be something also that to alert the customers not to come into your establishment if they have any of the symptoms. So fevers, shortness of breath, all of the symptoms of COVID-19. We want to ask those folks to please be cognizant of your safe and sanitized environment, and so that that they can't come on to that. But some of the practices, I don't know when they're going to be made public. I'm hoping maybe the governor will shed a little light on some of that for us. But really, since you do so much through ServSafe and through sanitizing your establishments, these guidelines are really kind of starting there, and then just adding a little bit more on top of that, a little bit more cleaning and reusing items, such as menus, taking condiments off of your tables so that folks then you don't have multiple people touching all of these different surfaces. Using things as much as possible, if you can use disposable menus, if you can use disposable plates, you may not always be able to do that. So these are kind of guidelines, somewhere to go from, and trying to practice social distancing. One of the things that we can get started on now is looking in your dining rooms to see how you can keep that 6 feet in between you and or your tables, so that if you have a break room that normally folks are going to go into, that maybe you work that out to where not not everybody is going to be in that break room at the same time. So some of those considerations as to how you're going to manage the flow in your dining room, on your patio, anything along those lines would probably be really good to start working on right now. Let's see. I see Carrie is on from that, and Carrie's been our stalwart member on the Governor's Economic Recovery Council. She also served on this subcommittee. So if there's anything, if I've misspoken, Carrie, give me a thumbs up or anything along those lines. Let's see. No contact payment methods to the greatest extent possible. You guys are already doing a lot of that. Those of you who are doing the drive out, carry out. So you're employing a lot of those already, but just kind of be a little bit more vigilant during this time to do that. I think it's going to be really important if you're bringing on new employees to make sure that they're trained and that they understand safety and sanitization. I can't say that word very well. So I know I kind of blew through a whole lot real fast. And so, because I just want to make sure, there's a little bit more we need to get to. So if you guys have questions in chats, I've noticed some questions coming about alcohol sales. So Carol, when we're ready to get to that point, I'm more than happy to answer questions on alcohol service and some of the conversations I've had with the ABC director.
Okay, and that may be after the governor speaks.
Sounds good.
I want to get through our program first, and I want to give Joe some time because I just saw Joe's presentation, and this is basically what he's doing to open his restaurant. And remember, so what Allison is talking about is a list that we have given the governor's team, and they actually held it. We were some of the first ones to get that list to her. They have held it, and they want to make sure that it's cohesive with whatever else she comes out with. So we don't know what the final document will look like, and that's why we can't share anything with you right now. And hopefully we will have that soon. We did the work over a month ago, sent the work through Carrie to the Economic Recovery Council and then on to the Industry Council. So we've done the work. We hope that the governor has seen it and appreciates what we've done. One thing I want to talk about really quickly, because we have so many questions, is this guidance that we got from the Department of Workforce Solutions. So in the beginning, they talk about safe working conditions. A lot of these are the same things that you're going to hear from everybody. But here's what you need to know is that, here's what you need to know. That employees quitting or declining to return to work without good cause are not going to be able to collect unemployment. I keep hearing this, that people, I can't hire anybody back because they're collecting all this extra money on unemployment. I understand, but if they refuse an offer of suitable work, they will be taken off of unemployment. Now there's other reasons. If a worker is at risk of illness for either the worker or someone they're a caregiver for, they can refuse work with this condition. Maybe they're over 65 and they're afraid to come to work. Maybe they, well, your employees don't work in a nursing home, but there's reasons that people may come to you and say, I'm afraid to come to work. And these are the reasons they can give you. And here's the thing, they can continue to get unemployment, or they can get unemployment as long as they have a doctor's note. They don't give the doctor's note to you, the employer. They give the doctor's note to Workforce Solutions when they apply for unemployment. I don't think any of us quite had that in mind when we were talking to folks. So the other thing you can do is with the decline of suitable work, well, most of us want our employees back. So we can actually bring them back with reduced working hours. And I understand that this doesn't work when you're getting PPP, but if you can make it work for these employees who are getting that extra $600, you can pay them a little bit less. They can stay on unemployment, get, and I think the secretary told us up to $1 of unemployment, and then they get the extra $600. So I want you to be aware that these things are happening. This is on our website, this paper, and this is how you need to report hires to the Workforce Development Office, is through this email with, so here's the people that you're hiring back. They have an unemployment account. If you can get that. If not, well, you would know that because that's going to be on your account as well. So those are the things. So send this in for every single employee that's coming back to work for you. And I thought you needed to know that because we keep hearing these things about rehiring employees, and I wanted you to know that this is a resource on our website. Again, that came from here. That's the New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions guidance for back to work. And the other checklist from NMED is the reopening checklist from NMED on our coronavirus page. So with that said, I'm really excited because I actually met Art Garcia through these phone calls, and he's been a real stalwart, calling me on a continual basis and just telling me how they're working things and how it's looking for, different restaurants out there, and in particular his restaurants that he's working for, and that is Weck's. Joe, let me unmute you. Thank you for being on the call, and thanks for talking about what you guys are doing.
No problem. I appreciate it, Carol. I appreciate all of your help during this time as well. So I briefly kind of go over how I think I want this to go, and Carol, you'll kind of have to scroll down through this for me. I'll try and just kind of paraphrase it, obviously, and highlight some of the things that we're doing. And I'll preface this by, this is our opening guide. We're operating on the premise that we're opening starting whenever she goes off of her mandate. I understand. Well, that's why we're all on this call.
I know.
But we all tried to get out in front of it as much as we can. And hats off to all of our staff here for not only getting this reopening together, but helping us source PPE in the name of face masks, sanitizer solutions, all of our vendors. So when I talk about going above and beyond, I think when everybody kind of gets here's what we have to say and what we have to see, if they are looking for anything more than what we're looking to do or what we've provided, I would be humbled, I guess is the best way to put it, because I feel like we've put a very comprehensive plan together for all of our restaurants. I think it was our responsibility because we have so many amazing employees and nearly 500 employees around the state. So I'll ask you to kind of go through it as we're going. And so if there's any questions at the end or afterwards, please don't hesitate to drop us a line. Art Kaplan is the owner of Weck's. Him and I have worked very closely together in kind of overseeing this project, and obviously the livelihood of our company is at stake. And so that's how important it is to us. So does that work for you? I think at the end is when I'll just make a few points, if that's okay with you, Carol.
Sure. Do you want to, 1 second, let's, one thing, would my staff please look for the governor? I don't know what she's going to come on as, and if the governor's on, let us know by raising your hand. So with that said, Joe, do you want to go through this and I'll just scroll?
Okay. So I started with the COVID reopening guide at the page. I think the best way to sum this up is, I have this highlighted, but it says, we'll strive to surpass any mandate imposed by any city, state, or national agency as it relates to our practices. And that was the first page. But essentially, this is a crazy pandemic. It goes into hygiene, some of the things that we're looking to do, hand washing every 30 minutes, sanitizer readily available in all areas of restaurants, including sanitizer on every single table. We've sourced hundreds and hundreds of gallons of sanitizer, and we got some guidance not only from OSHA, from CDC, from restaurant groups all over the world, including in the Middle East, Hong Kong. We looked over some opening guidelines for other states. So there was a lot of legwork that went into this. But hygiene and health, some of the highlights is that some of the things we've already started in our restaurants, which are enforcing masks for everyone who works in our restaurants, along with anyone who's bringing anything into any of our restaurants, any of our vendors, along with temperature checks for both of those sets of people, not only our employees but vendors, and what we're looking to do also with our guests, health declaration form from our guests, because I assume that contact tracing is going to be one of the reasons why they will try to not let us open. So we've created a form for contact tracing for our customers, at least to be used until that restriction might be able to be lifted. We have it personally in our foresight through the end of the month. But I know that that's something that's possibly gonna be a sticking point with them.
Oh, I've heard from a lot of reporters today asking me about contact tracing and how we're going to look at that. So I'm glad to see that you're taking steps to just do it, whether it's mandated or not. I think that's brilliant and should make the governor happy. One thing, Joe, everybody's asking if they can get a copy of this. Are you willing to share this document?
We are, and I think that was part of it. I think that's part of our responsibility as a restaurant group here in this state. Like I said, this is for the greater good, and I think as a high tide raises all boats, I think that's exactly sums up what we're looking to do and why we created this.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Keep going.
So along with that, obviously, we have temperature checks for guests. I'll get you to keep going on to the next page there. And if a guest isn't willing to do this, then we have the right to not to let them dine in our restaurants. And that, like I said, we understand that we're going and making it very difficult. We're trying to do a layout for others, because we're going to be harder on ourselves than I think anyone else could be on us. So we have already started going to a 50% capacity and making plans at all of our restaurants to satisfy the 6 feet apart, sanitizer on every table, cashier workstation, host stand. Another important thing that I think we decided is that we've decided to close all of our lobbies, and we've created a call text system in lieu of traditional lobby waiting. I think that's obviously also going to be a big thing with the governor and lifting restrictions.
So did you buy a system to do that, or are you just calling their cell phones?
No, we're actually just going to call ourselves home. So we looked into a lot of different things out there, and we decided on a system that actually is within this manual as well. So when I say we're an open book, we really are. Like I said, the system will have one person who's going to be stationed outside, because we're doing a lot of curbside. We've closed our lobbies, so we deliver via DoorDash. All DoorDash pay.
Oh,
we lost your audio.
We're on my phone.
Okay, you're back.
Yes, we're back. So we're going to have separate entrances. So you'll enter from one door, and I know all of these things aren't feasible for all these restaurants, so I understand. But I think the way I said it is the person on the soapbox should be the cleanest, and so we're the ones that are trying to be the furthest out ahead of all mandates. So like I said, I won't go through it verbatim, but we're obviously having to readjust our economics. We know that this is a trying time, not only for our employees, but for guests as well. There'll be a lot of questions. We have a strategy for the media. We have a strategy for communication, transparency. is a strategy that we've decided upon. We have a program in place. If we do have someone in our restaurant that does become infected, whether it be an employee or a customer, to be able to notify the public that this would be the case. We have a strategy in place to close and sanitize our restaurant professionally if that is the case. Right now, the plan is to have the restaurant closed for a number of days, and then whenever we are satisfied with being able to reopen, we will. My wife is a nurse, as a medical professional, and that goes beyond what happens at her hospital. And if someone is exposed to someone at her hospital, they're supposed to self-monitor, but that doesn't mean they have to stop going to work. And so we're trying to go further beyond what anyone else is going to ask for. Like I said, but transparency through voicemail setups, through our social media, through our website, our internal communication with all of our managers, I think is important to stay in the loop with all our managers as far as how we're going to perform this reopening. So I'm going to keep going on here. The road ahead, obviously there's a lot of adversity ahead of us, but we'll be optimistic and realistic about the future. It's going to be a long time before the restaurant landscape looks the way it used to be. And so I think that's important for everyone to be realistic moving forward. I do have a couple of operation highlights that I definitely want to see. And like I said, a lot of people aren't going to be able to do a lot of these things, but these are things that we have already started to do. We have IP cameras in all of our restaurants, and we have someone who part of their dedicated daily job is to go onto those IP cameras and inspect that all of our employees are wearing their masks. We're making it mandatory to wash hands and change gloves every 30 minutes. Stagger prep time so people aren't working as much together. Document. You know what I mean? Any HR professionals love to say that to us. We want to prepare for guests or team members to test positive and respond quickly, sincerely, and transparently, like I said. Removing everything from tabletops to minimize exposure risks. All vendors are required to wear masks if entering our restaurant. Performing temperature checks on them as well. All payments are to be completed, hopefully touchlessly, but we're eliminating the pay at the cashier to just eliminate all of those extra points of contact. So they'll only pay their servers at our tables. Pickup and DoorDash will only be done outside at all of our restaurants. Delivering curbside. Our seating checklist, like I said, we have something where we'll have an inside host station and an outside host station, and the inside host station will be seating our patrons. The outside host station will be bringing our patrons in. Like I said, at the end of this, you'll be able to see that in our guide that details for how that'll work. We're on there.
Joe, can I pause you for a second? And if the governor is on, if you could put your hand up, that would be helpful. If you're on,
Carol, this is Allison. I just heard from her staff. She's jumping off of another call and will be joining us in about 3 minutes. And so he'll let me know what phone number she's going to be calling in from.
Okay, perfect. All right.
And I'll just interrupt you guys when I see that.
Okay. All right. Joe, this is great stuff. I think everybody's really appreciating it. As a matter of fact, I know they are because they're saying it. So thank you for this, and let's keep going.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, we've incorporated a seating checklist, a serving checklist. Everyone's going to be wearing masks. We've created an exposure control plan, which my human resources vice president did an amazing job on, kind of detailing what our responsibilities are as a company, how we'll react to the situation, what kind of communication we'll be providing to not only our guests but to our employees, and detailing what their responsibilities are. She's created employee health plans, face mask plan, daily cleaning, sign-off sheets. Like I said, it's all in there. we did this in the mindset of, hey, we want to be helpful to the rest of our restaurant brethren. And I think, like I said, everyone's done a pretty good job letting us know. Obviously, we've put protocol in place where everyone can confidentially. We know there's HIPAA laws and things like that. Wherever the process for confidentially letting people know that if they are testing positive, whether it be an employee or a customer, and obviously that's an important part of this to avoid any sort of litigation or anything of that nature. Like I said, we tried to put this in place to be as helpful for all of our fellow restaurateurs as possible. Talking about some of the PPP we use at our restaurants, the cleaning and sanitizing that we're doing, and what we would do should there be an outbreak at any of our restaurants, and how we would notify people, how to handle potentially infected customers, what you might say to a customer if they walk in and they're sneezing or they're coughing, or they have you don't let them in because they have a high temperature. Like I said, we tried to come from all angles, and if there's something more comprehensive out there, I haven't seen it. Like I said, hats off to the staff here and to all of the literature that's been provided to me by Carol and everyone else. Plan to go over some OSHA record keeping, confidentiality privacy policy, obviously. We've created a new position within our restaurant, which I think is another important point to make. An expediter sanitizer job description, both front of the house and back of the house. And like I said, some of these things I know aren't completely feasible to everyone, but it's something that we felt that we needed to go above and beyond doing. And this person's sole responsibility is being cleaning and sanitizing every surface in the back of the house expeditiously, responsible for making sure that all to-go bags are closed and sealed to avoid cross-contamination, to make our customers feel safe. In the front of the house, cleaning and sanitizing all tables and chairs, to all touch surfaces every 30 minutes, including but not limited to doors, handles, counters, chairs, booster seats, high chairs, faucet handles, push plates, and any other surfaces deemed appropriate. Clean and sanitize all condiments before they go back to be reused, because we took them off of all of our tables. Like I said, we've created a whole new job description within our restaurant, kind of changing exactly what we're doing. And create a new employee health statement for COVID-19, essentially, which details what our employees need to sign and let us know if they're exhibiting any of these symptoms. A deep cleaning procedural guide for our employees as well, so that there's nothing lost in translation, that they can see everything that we are doing, and they know what their responsibility is, and to perform their job duties as needed. Created a face mask policy, letting them know that when they walk in the door, they will need to be wearing a face mask. And we will be as reasonable as we can, but these health policies are non-negotiable. That's how important that it is for us. For everyone, there's a daily guest employee temp log, which kind of details everything that you need to know. Test positive, experiencing symptoms, been outside of New Mexico, been in direct contact with anybody in the immediate vicinity who's been outside of New Mexico. Like I said, I feel like we've done a great job of creating all of the tools necessary to help us open effectively, efficiently, and safely. Changed our wake sheet to have wait times, phone numbers to contact our guests, and all of that is in there as well. Back to our wait list procedures. I won't bore you with all of them in detail, but feel free to look it over. If anyone has any questions, let you know exactly what our thought process is of and how we're going to make it work. How to put on and take off and dispose of your mask. We got this from the World Health Organization. These are things that we've gone over. All of this we go over.
Sorry to interrupt you, but the governor's dialing in now. I'm looking for the phone number that they just sent me so I can unmute her. So if you can bear with me, thank you, Joe. Sorry to interrupt you there. But and Governor, if you're already on, I'm trying to find you.
Yeah,
Governor, if you're already on, if you can raise your hand, I'm looking for the phone number.
Allison, you can actually search for the phone number and find participant if that's easier instead of
what I'm
scrolling.
doing. Great. 5. Okay, I guess she's not on yet. She may be in the waiting room.
No,
We're dialing in now.
Yeah, we
Okay,
don't have
we
anybody.
can just stand in place for just a second until we get her in.
So everybody, I do want to tell you, if you're interested in getting this guide, if you would email Dion at communications@nmrestaurants.org, rather than have us go back through here, if you would do that, that would be very helpful. Again, that's communications@nmrestaurants.org. And you're welcome to email me at executive@nmrestaurants.org. But I think if I don't get to say this, Joe, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And thank you from all of these restaurateurs for putting this together. I don't know that they'll all use everything, but again, what you've put together here is just amazing, and certainly state of the art as far as opening up at this time of the COVID virus.
No, I appreciate that, Carol, and I don't know if the governor's on yet, but like I said, I'd love to make just a couple points before you get me off of here.
Sure.
She's home. Yeah. So we're in a better position than most. Obviously, we're having the size of company that we do. Off of the net, we lost $500,000 in April alone. Our PP loan runs out in the middle of June, and we're going to be going back to the same boat, causing new layoffs.
Here she is. I found it. Governor?
Hi, Carol. Is this
You're
you?
unmuted. This is Allison. Carol, thank you for joining us. Carol, if you want to say a few things before she starts.
Governor, we're thrilled you're here. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that you take the time to give a message to our industry and our community. I know you know we're hurting. I know you know what's happening. And so I just want to say thank you for taking the time. And welcome.
Well, that's very nice of you. And I feel a little embarrassed that you would be thanking me. This is one of the most remarkable, difficult situations, certainly in the globe, but definitely during any of my work as an elected leader or a cabinet official. And this virus is unfair, unrelenting, and vicious. And it leaves a wake of disasters and turmoil in its path, not the least of which is some of our best economic drivers, our best community partners, and probably in so many ways, the most important to neighborhoods and communities. And the issue for me is you've all been patient, hardworking, fair, kind. You're donating food, services, workers, in spite of the fact that there's no way to make a living, support your staff, employees, or to meet your day-to-day financial obligations. And it's also one of the most difficult industries to bring back without a vaccine in the way in which we did work before. I can't think, frankly, tourism, entertainment, restaurants, which are connected to all of that, are the most impacted. And I have to say that we receive more support from the restaurant industry in terms of how can we help our communities recover, what ideas can we bring to the table, how can we engage in economic recovery, and what can we do that protects our workers and protects our patrons. And earnestly, as I'm on many White House calls and many congressional calls, there are a lot of industries that don't ask those questions. and aren't working to support their workers and who aren't up at night worrying about how that's going to work. And without restaurants and without the impact you have on our communities, we can't have a holistic economic recovery. So I thank you. I want you to hear from me directly. I hate what's happening to our state, to our families, to our businesses, and to the many, many, many restaurants and family small businesses that have been not just stalled out, but their day-to-day operations and their impact in their communities, all of that was torn down in a minute. And there are no words to express how hard this is on everyone, particularly everyone on this call. But I wanted you to hear from me that it's upsetting and incredibly difficult and challenging for us as a state as well. The second thing I wanted you to hear from me, in addition to that thank you, for all of you, all 400 and some that are working with the state, whether like Carrie Phyllis, you're right on the Recovery Council, or like countless others of you, including Weck, you're participating directly with the Secretary of Environment, the Secretary of Tourism, the Secretary of Economic Development, and any number of other individuals, including city councilors, commissioners, mayors, and legislators, to design the safest way forward and to help us make sure that we create COVID-safe operational practices, which between now and the vaccine and even after, I think can really showcase New Mexicans as leaders and to showcase this industry as leaders. And then the third thing I wanted to say, because I want you to be able to get to the real work, I am committed to finding any number of ways to deal with a specific economic relief package. I am clear about the problems with the PPP program and the limitations. We are clear that Congress is debating and not really understanding the impact on restaurants and workers, and that we need some predictability here. We may ask you for support in making sure that we're unified in the next relief package. I wanted you to hear that I think the CARES money is some relief that we can dedicate directly to restaurants, but we have to think through other economic ideas that we can bring to the special session, which is, I think, going to be second week in June, and that will be announced shortly. But I believe we've crossed all of our T's and dotted all of our I's with legislative leadership in both chambers so that we can get that on the books and announced, and we're clear about making sure that we deal with our budget issues, but we also identify opportunities to invest in economic recovery that's meaningful. And we want to do that industry specific. And this is an industry I'm particularly dedicated at doing something about, because this industry's hit differently and harder, short-term and long-term. And we have to take that into consideration. And lastly, any ideas that you have, we want them all. We are serious about any number of things, including we are identifying potential tax relief strategies through a special session. They're not done yet, but if you have ideas, we want to hear them. If you've got ideas about investments, whether it's capital or it's training or it's employee related, we want those. If it means that the state needs to take a leadership role in purchasing and delivering for some period of time, PPE, so protective personal equipment like masks for workers and gloves and sanitation supplies, I think that's something that we have to be open to, because if we don't mitigate those operational costs, then and we aren't operating in the same way that we used to, then we're basically asking you to take huge additional personal risk with no way to have a partnership in dealing with those liabilities that aren't automatically recoverable in this new reality with living with COVID-19. I want all of those ideas. I think that we can be helpful in any number of ways, and we're ready to do that. And while we try to figure out where we are and looking at all of the data all of the time, if there are ways, no matter where we are, and we're going to hear from you today about the next set of decisions, the next set of openings, the next set of efforts, how long that lasts, what we can do about getting individuals to wear masks and help us stop spread, everything that we know that keeps us from having to go backwards. So we make decisions, we hold them. We make decisions, we hold them. We make decisions and we hold them. And we want to also make sure that you have to have real predictability. Anyone who takes risks in those predictability aspects should be able to count on a state that helps you recover those. So I want to hear all of it. And I wanted you to hear it from me, that this just isn't an update. This isn't an effort. I forgot one. This isn't an effort to just listen and then walk away. I want to build a solid partnership. We want you. We need you. Your patrons miss you. Your employees want you, need you, miss you. And we have to find a path that's reasonable, that's productive, that's safe, but also make sure that you can count on a relevant income that is sustainable. I want all the same things, and we need them as quick as we can while managing our public health safety issues and data. And lastly, for all the folks who do liquor and can't do anything about it, I don't have the ability under the current statutory design. So my public health orders, I can suspend the statute, so I can close businesses, but I can't change a statute. That's why I can't do, some of you might agree, some of you might not, but when requested by the Secretary of State and clerks to do vote by mail and to do that in an emergency order, I don't have that power. That's why they had to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court made its set of decisions, or its decision. The same thing with liquor delivery. I am all about the ability to deliver liquor and to do curbside pickup, but because the statute specifically prohibits that operation, I can't add that. So that's something I think that we need to get fixed in the legislative session, including the special, because I don't know how long some COVID-safe practices in terms of metering and table changes and all of that, we have to assume it lasts until there's a vaccine. So anything that we can do that enhances business opportunities, that's fair and equitable among industries, particularly for our bar owners who sell food but can't do anything about their liquor sales, I think there's some mitigating factors we can get addressed. I want to lead those. I'm there. I think there's broad legislative support. I'll need help, and I'm hoping that the association will help us to that end, because we're ready to make a difference for you. And I know that you've been ready. And I hope that you can hear the empathy in my voice, because it's real. I know how hard this has been. Most of you are family businesses that have been operating for decades, if not longer than that. And this has been a crippling environment for you and your families, your employees and their families. And we want to do everything we can to lift you up, hold you up, and shine a light on what can be done to make sure that we all make it and that the public is safe. And I really appreciate your leadership and the time to make sure that you heard directly from me. I'm hopeful, and I know that we can do this together. And I know that I have real expertise and dedication on the phone today. And you need to know that you've got public partners who recognize the risk, the situation that you're in, and are ready to do as much as we can, as quick as we can, to make a difference. Thank you. Thanks for your leadership. Thanks for letting me make a statement. And probably I went too long. I didn't mean to do that, because I know that you have a lot of work to do.
Governor.
We do. We miss you.
Well, thank you so much. We really do appreciate you coming on. And I know, so everybody's getting ready to open up on Friday. If you don't know that, you know, they're buying things to open on Friday, and they need to know if you're going to stand by that first phase in, or if they need to wait. They've got to have that information from you now. They cannot wait until tomorrow or Friday or some other time. We appreciate that you understand us and that you understand what we're going through, and we will work with you as hard as we've ever worked in the legislature to get what this industry needs to get back on our feet. And I know you're going to work.
This is a hard thing to say. Look, irrespective of what folks do, I have to consider the public safety issues first and foremost. And we are wanting to hear from you today so that we're as informed, and we'll come back to you with decisions so that you don't wait long. And we are willing to hear how we might mitigate that's what I'm going to go back and look at, is the data. And here are 2 data points that we struggle with, and I'm still looking at them. So they're still in draft modeling. And what does that mean? It means that we have to load all the data from every day and see what it does. So you can meet the vast majority of, say, gating criteria, but if your cases are increasing or they're stable, but you don't see decreases in the areas that you need them, that's troubling. And the hard part here is I'll hear from a community that's got very few cases, and they say, but we can open. You can. And then the notion that no one from another neighboring county is going to come there is wrong. And maybe the easiest one I can talk about is when I talked with veterans at the veterans home. And if that virus gets into the veterans home, I'm going to lose those veterans. And every business we open and every effort we make puts them specifically at risk. And taking people's temperatures is valuable, but the greater percentage by far are now asymptomatic individuals. And until I can test everyone nearly every other day, and I can't, that makes it much harder. So I know that you want me to tell you right this second, but I want to hear from you about what our options are, and I'm going to keep doing that modeling, and I'm going to work diligently. My goal is not to blindside anyone. We have the courage to make good, tough decisions, and we will, and we'll get right back to you, but I really wanted to hear from you on the front end.
So one thing we're going through right now is Joe Garcia from Weck has put together an amazing presentation, and basically it's his employee handbook for when they do go back into business. And I'd like to share that with you. I'll send it to Carrie and hopefully it will get to you. I want you to see this because it's amazing what Joe has done, and Joe has offered to allow anybody that's on this phone call or anybody in our association to have this document. And so it goes way beyond some things that the smaller restaurants can do. Wex can do this, and we're thrilled that they can. But I want you to see it because I do think that this will give you some confidence that we can open and we can do it with less spread. And so, you know, I mean, honestly, I have heard you say it before, and I think it's the truth. We're going to have to learn to live with this virus. And the other thing is that people that don't want to go out to restaurants will not go out to restaurants. And we understand that, but we want to make them as comfortable in restaurants as possible so that they can feel safe and secure in our environment. So just know that we're on your side in this, and we are going to do our very best when we open to make sure that this doesn't spread.
No, and I was really earnest about that, Carol, and for everyone on this call. If we have some folks, I mean, let's just be earnest with that, with each other, and we always are. We have some folks without COVID-19 that are bad actors, right? Who don't deal with a safe food handling, they get cited. We've got businesses that don't meet OSHA standards, and that's a problem. We have salons and gyms in the same situation, and they get into trouble, and we go about our business. We try to make sure that we lead by example. You do too in your association, and there are always issues that need to be addressed. By and large, New Mexico businesses, and by and large, to the greatest extent, the same with restaurants. I mean, look, I'm looking at states where restaurants have opened up, have not provided any kind of support, refused to wear masks, no matter what the states are saying. I haven't heard that from a single business who has said, not a single entity in the Restaurant Association says, we're going to do what we want and go ahead and try to make it different, and we'll just sue you. I mean, that's happening all around the country. Not one person. Some folks have disagreed with our strategy. Some folks disagree with the modeling. Some folks think that once you have a virus out, it's no different than letting people come in who have colds, who might spread it. It's just how things are. But no one has said, but even if I disagree with you, I won't work hard to make it right. And I think that says a lot about New Mexico, says a lot about the association, and it says a lot about the dedication in this industry in particular. And that makes all the difference in the world. And it means that we're going to be the best prepared in the country, in my opinion, so that we don't have to start and then roll it all back, which has happened in a couple of communities, more than that, across the country already. And I have more confidence that we aren't going to be in that situation because of who I'm working with. And I want to assure you that that mutual respect is here, is not wavering, is earnest. And I also wanted you to hear from me, it is not lost on us how hard this is for folks. It is miserable, and it is heartbreaking, and it is unfair. And it's really tough to fight this blind, unrelenting enemy. But we can do it, we will do it. And I know that I'm gonna get to be a patron in a restaurant, because if I don't get to do that, and I don't get to see my family in a reasonable effort and amount of time, New Mexicans aren't gonna feel like themselves. And they need that opportunity, and we need to work together to make it as safe for folks as possible. And I know that you're doing that. And I just wanted to make sure that you know how I feel, that we're clear about the risks and the harshness of the business climate, and that you have our support to do directly economic investment strategies that make folks as whole as we can, with a long-term strategy that recognizes it won't be business as usual anywhere in the country. So let's make sure that we're doing something for our business owners in New Mexico. I need the feds to do their part, but you should expect your state to do as much as it can too.
Well, thank you. And one other thing is that when we obviously we need guidelines that you're talking about, and the sooner the better, because we do have to get prepared. We have to buy the PPE. We've got to figure out how to source sanitizer. There's a lot of things that have to happen before we open. So we can't just say we're going to open one day and then be open. And the other thing, obviously, is that people are expecting to be open on the 15th. So the sooner you can give us some idea of what we're going to do, and I know you're saying that you can't do that now, but the sooner the better, and we appreciate everything you're doing. I mean, this is unprecedented, and we really do appreciate it. You've kept us safe. We have not bumped up against any of our health, the whole hospital beds and things like that. So we appreciate that you kept us out of that kind of situation. And thank you for being on today.
Well, you're welcome, but let's do what last night. We did that, right? We did that together. We have half as many resources as any other state per capita in the country for healthcare. All of our standard ICU beds are full in Albuquerque. And while we can utilize and would ICU beds anywhere in the state, an interesting lesson that we've learned is that for ventilator-assisted healthcare, that is a very specialized effort, and it's not something, particularly when you have several patients to do, that works in many rural hospitals. It's not just unique to New Mexico, anywhere in the country. So it really does mean a huge impact on the Albuquerque and Santa Fe hospitals. And we did a great job at managing that. And people did it at a lot of personal risk and significant liabilities. And not to recognize that that's what it took would be unfair. Unclear what it took. I made a decision. You helped me. People lost their businesses. And I don't want anyone on this call to think that I'm not acutely aware of what we put on the line to keep each other safe and what we keep doing to keep each other safe. You're very valuable and important, not just to me, but to the entire state. And you've done your part, and I'm grateful for that. I will never stop being grateful for every single life you saved, every single New Mexico life we will continue to put first. You're amazing. And we also have more chronic care issues than any other state per capita. So, you know, we did this together. So thank you for that lovely accolade, but we did this together. And I'm proud of all of us in this state. But now let's deal with the liabilities and the risk. It's time we start to focus on building businesses back up.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. You know, by my
And if you
calculations,
give stuff to Carrie Phyllis, she won't even look at it. She'll just forward it right to me in a nanosecond. She's fast and relentless.
she is. No, we very much appreciate your appointment of her. I did not know her before this, and we've gotten to know each other very well. And she's a real fighter for our industry, and we appreciate that about her.
She is. All right, I'm going to let you guys go through your stuff. I need you. I know it's a long call. I'm actually going to get on my next call and finish up that modeling. Thank you for forgiving me for that. And I will read every single recommendation and every single effort in the Weck proposal. That'll be helpful to me. And I appreciate that it's available to me. As soon as it hits my inbox, I'll start reading it.
All right. Thanks so much, Governor.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Governor.
Goodbye. Okay, I can tell from the chat that people are not happy that we didn't get a date. Carrie, do you have anything to say? Do you want to? And I'm sorry if you guys feel like we wasted your time. I was just sure she was going to tell us a date. So
one of the things I will mention, if I may, Carol, is she did have staff on here as well, reading all of our chat, all of your chat questions. So so your chat questions, even though she didn't get to answer them, they are being looked over. So I just wanted to let you know that.
So if you have thoughts, don't hesitate to email me, executive@nmrestaurants.org. And I'm going to let Joe finish because, Joe, this was a fabulous, you know,
Yeah.
of all the resources that we've been able to send to our members, this is the best.
All right, I'm there. I appreciate everyone. First, are you going to be able to send this to her immediately? Like I said, it may not be the best. I think I got a couple of comments saying that some of the things didn't seem like they were feasible. I just know that we put a lot of hard work in. This was based on a lot of knowledge and a lot of feedback, not only from other organizations, but from even medical professionals that we know. And I feel like this is the best way, maybe the only way that we'll be able to get open. So I appreciate everyone's been giving a lot of thank you and appreciativeness in the chat that I've been watching. Like I said, it got pretty heated there for a second. Everyone was kind of waiting for the governor to make some major announcements, and unfortunately, I wish I could say that I was 100% surprised that she didn't, but unfortunately, I'm not, and that has nothing to do with me not having utmost trust, but just kind of knowing how the political landscape kind of unfolds generally. But I guess to summarize exactly what I was going over, please read through it. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to Carol or to reach out to me directly. We want to be helpful. I think we need to stand together. We need to provide a united front because it's easy to say that she wants to get us back open and that she wants us to do this, that, and the other. But the proof is in the pudding, I guess is the best way to put it, is that she needs to figure out a way for us to make it happen. Like I said, there's a lot of the criteria that she put into place beforehand. I feel like we've achieved it. I feel like we've gone above and beyond. I feel like the practices that we're looking to put into place are above and beyond what she has asked for. And I don't know what else we can say and or do.
It's true. I don't either, except that maybe it's good that she did not make an announcement today, because if we can
No, I
get
agree.
her, if we can get her some more information, possibly
Right.
she will change her mind. And as far as I know, people close to her are saying that she's thinking of not opening until June 1st. So I think maybe everyone just calm down a little bit. You know, the thing that I like, and I'm sorry, because at one point we had 500 people on here. Now we have 300. That's 200 people that I can't tell. We need you all to do certain things in order to get open and stay open. The governor will not allow us to stay open if there's people out there that are taking advantage and not doing the right things. We really have to do what we can to mitigate those circumstances in everybody's restaurant, and not just for us and not just for the governor, but because our customers want to see a sanitary place to walk into. They want to be comfortable being in there and around other people. Remember, it's the first time they're going to come out and be anywhere sitting down with other people in their midst. So some of these things, I mean, you say you can't do them, but we've got to figure out how to make our customers feel comfortable so that they come back and they continue coming back. I can't emphasize that enough. I appreciate everybody who's on here. Joe, thank you for this, and I will keep this going around. Again, if you want a copy of this, email communications@nmrestaurants.org. You can also email me, executive@nmrestaurants.org. Carrie, I just unmuted you. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, sorry. Hi, Carol. So I understand the frustration of the governor not giving a date. Trust me, I understand that. That's what we've been fighting for on the council. On a side note, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. It means that there may be some other things to consider since yesterday. So although you're frustrated, and I trust me, I understand. Again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. She's not making that announcement yet. I was reading all of the comments during this time, and there are quite a few things that you guys talked about needing that we are currently working on getting some legislation. Actually, tomorrow, hopefully, Carol and I and possibly Allison have a meeting with a member of the legislature who's going to carry some bills that we're looking for. And I can't promise they're going to get passed, but we're working on getting the CRS forgiveness, working on, hopefully getting some change in liquor laws. And truthfully, this special session that's going to happen in June is our best chance to change anything that we need to change. So, keep in touch with Carol, definitely, and me, because once we get them and they are in bill form, we are absolutely going to need every single person in the state to call their representatives. We need to put the pressure on to make sure some of these get changed as soon as possible. The governor does not have some of the powers. I thought she did as well. I did a lot of research on that, but given the special session, if we can get it passed, get it signed, there's a lot of things that can change to help our industry in a shorter amount of time. So, I promise we're working really hard on that side of it. It doesn't fix what's going on now, but, we're really, really, trust me, I'm fighting for my life in this too. I have 3 businesses closed down right now. So this is something that I'm depending on as well. So, we're trying really hard on that side. And, I'm on the council. We have a good ally in Secretary Kinney from Environmental Health. He trust me, I call him a lot and he hears me out. So I don't want to say be patient, but I promise we're trying. And that's what I need you to know, at least from the council side of it and my side of it.
Thanks, Carrie. And Carrie is our representative. It says Blaine here, but it is Carrie Phyllis, and she is our representative on the Governor's Economic Recovery Council. So one thing, and I see that Joe has left, and I will give kudos to him. And one thing he sent me before this is he used this guidance on preparing workplaces for COVID while he was preparing his piece. So we will send that along with his piece if you email us. And again, I have had it wrong this whole time. It's communication at, not communications at nmrestaurants.org. And again, email me executive@nmrestaurants.org. So thank you all who stuck around. I'm sorry that she didn't give us a date certain, but that may be a good thing. She may be reconsidering how long she wants to keep us shut down. We have had quite a bit of, we've been in talks with her for a couple of days now, and thank you, Carrie, for passing things on to her that we're putting out there. So thank you all. Really appreciate you being on. And I think that's the end for the day. Everybody go have a glass of wine. Well, it's not letting me end.